Hello everyone. So in yesterday's video I made the claim that there is nothing much at all to defend the idea that being an NiTi INFJ is a good thing. And by NiTi INFJ I mean the same as an INFJ who loops NI and TI on a chronic basis rather than an occasional basis, which is inevitable for just about any INFJ in the world. Chronically NiTi looping INFJ is an NiTi INFJ, at least as they describe themselves. And like I said, you'll often notice that in INFJs, saying this is not really a great source of shame for INFJs, right? It's harder for an INFJ to say that they are often in the grip, or that they're compliant, or that, I don't know, but to say I'm an NiTi INFJ just makes it sound like, yeah, I know this is not the most adaptive thing, but at least I know I'm probably among the smartest INFJs, because NI and TI are usually associated with with intelligence. They're kind of reputed to be like the smartest functions. Well, the issue is it's not true. Even that little kernel of hope that being an ITI might at least give one the narcissistic satisfaction of being smarter than the rest of INFJs is false. And to understand why, I encourage you to check my video, if you haven't already, of course, on TI child, right? My video is not only on TI child, it's mostly on, the tertiary function as the child function. And in that video, I discussed the topic mostly through the prism of the INFJ's TI, which is indeed TI child. So I encourage you to watch that, because it's just going to make it like way easier to understand the very intuitive and common sense point I'm about to make here. And this point is that an INFJ who loops NI and TI, an NiTi INFJ, is in practice replacing, FE as auxiliary with TI as auxiliary. And so FE is demoted in practice to a tertiary position. FE's position is usurped by TI, and I'm using the term usurp really to drive home the idea that this is not normal, that this is not what nature wanted for us, and that this is not going to lead to significant adaptive skill sets. Since in these particular scenarios, TI is effectively pushed up to auxiliary status, well, TI is treated as parent, which, as you know, is the qualitative dimension of the auxiliary function. Dominant is hero, auxiliary is parent, and tertiary is child, right? And in that previous video, I really emphasized that there's a reason why nature works, the works of nature are usually of a pretty good quality, and not that many things happen by chance. And there's a reason why INFJs have TI child and not TI auxiliary. Exactly in the same way that it makes sense for ENTPs to have TI parent, TI auxiliary, because they have, as a hero function, an NE function that needs ordering, that needs proactive parsing and cleansing and transparency focus. Because NE by itself, just when it's operating in hero mode, it's going to produce so many digressive associations, lateral associations, that just, and associations of other kinds as well, that are not adaptive if they are not, if the contents they yield are not taken care of taken care of by a very responsible and proactive TI parent. But the INFJ doesn't have any. The INFJ has NI. And NI is not digressive. To be specific, it digresses then converges, digresses then converges. The endpoint is a convergence and is a point, right? So the very term endpoint works well in the case of NI. If you have accompanying NI hero, NI dominant, TI put in the position of parent, you're going to end up having some kind of unproductive and detrimental competition between the work that NI does and the work that TI does. TI parent is always going to seek to bring proactive order, reorganization, and cleanliness to a primary process, the NI process, that is none of those things and needs to be none of those things in order to fully express itself through the associative creativity that defines it, the continuous linking creativity that defines it. NI is all about linking. TI doesn't care about linking. TI is about delinking to find essences. Essences by itself are not linked to anything. They're not, TI is not relational. NI is relational between contents. So the work of NI would be thwarted, constantly thwarted by the work of TI parent. Whereas in the case of TI child, that work would not be thwarted because TI is child. TI child has a tolerance of going beyond the limits of what rational reasoning properly considers sayable in a way that really enhances the freedom of NI to do its work. And so the NiTi INFJ is an INFJ whose NI is actually atrophied by TI. Right? The NiTi INFJ thinks that they are so profound and have all these great visions, but often the works they produce are really quite sparse and bare, skeletal, lacking inspiration. It's almost like the person was bored writing whatever they did. You can see that there is a little bit of a desert inside of that NI world. There is an aridity to the expression of NI. And it's not that NI in itself is arid. NI is their dominance, and they're certainly not proactively trying to suppress it or repress it. But it's their TI. It's their TI. It's the looping. The looping is what impoverishes NI. And that doesn't happen in the case of TI maintained in its normal tertiary position. So it's not true that the NiTi INFJ is more profound or smarter or more this or more that. They're more mentally atrophied as well as being more emotionally atrophied. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this. Hopefully that will be eye-opening for any of you who are tempted to consider the NiTi looping a good thing. It is certainly not, and I hope I made a good case for it. Give me a like if you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget, I wrote 2 books on the INFJ. The latest one is called The Infinite Soul, on INFJ life in the modern world, how INFJs can find happiness, purpose, and value in the world they often consider hostile. The first link below to this book helped a lot of people. I recommend you get it, as well as The Ecstatic Soul, and you look at the INFJ personality. This is my first book on the INFJ, and the book where I provide the deepest and most sustained investigation of the INFJ minds. What's it like to think like an INFJ? If you want to know more, check the links below, all in the description box. And what's also in the description box is a link to my Patreon, guys. So if you'd like to support me, knowing that I could not do it without you, that Patreon and your support are the lifeblood of my channel, please consider supporting me for a small amount. The link is below. You get access to cool perks like my Discord server, the Furfold, where there's already a good crowd of us. You can interact with me and others on a daily basis, as well as bonus video contents, what I call the deep dives, every 2-3 weeks on a topic of your choosing. If that sounds cool, check the link, and I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.